I've got Sean Anderson here with me from Outkick, and Sean's going to help me talk a little bit about the games coming up here in the NFL. We've got some decent games coming up, some interesting ones. First, though, I got to get your take because we've got some games that are really going to be impacted by weather this weekend, and you are I'm kind of a football purist. I kind of want every game to be played in a dome, so the true team that's the best always wins. You're a little bit of the opposite, though, when it comes to this.
Yeah, that's funny. I also think of myself as a purist with it, where I think that football should only be played outside on grass, because the elements have always historically played such a big part in the game. All of the memorable moments in football history is snow coming down, the ice bowl, just brutal masculinity in the elements playing ball. And I think that's something that I always want to protect and keep away from the Instagramification of the sport.
Well, I am a social media guy, so I guess that is very on brand for me, the Instagramification of the sport. You played in college. You went to the University of Rhode Island. You played on the offensive line, so you know what you're talking about. Did you still like to play in rough weather when you were on the field?
Oh, it was terrible. No, it always sounds so good in the head,
right.
And then you get out there and it's a nor'easter and it's 35 degrees, and you're not playing, so they don't give you the big jacket, and you're just sitting there shivering.
Yeah.
But there's something special when it happens, and you have to buckle up for 3 hours and just gut it out, and then eventually you'll get warm again and it'll all be good. But in that moment, you got to go out there and just really commit to the suck almost of that weather coming down and the cold.
That's where the men become boys, right? That's when they get separated out. Well, let's start with the ROWI that's going to be most impactful for this upcoming NFL Week 5, I believe. We've got Kansas City going to Jacksonville, taking on the Jaguars. On paper, I believe Jacksonville has the better record. They're 3-1. Kansas City is 2-2. Kansas City actually coming off of a weekend where they looked like Kansas City again. Here's the thing, though. ROWI is high, right? It's at a 7.0. We've got a lot of showers, a lot of thunderstorm activity in the area in Northeast Florida. So we'll see. I mean, there may actually be some game delays because of lightning. I wonder, are you a rain lover, or do you like more snow that impacts the game? I mean, because this is all rain here, obviously. We're going to be in Florida.
Well, with rain, I think people don't think critically the right way about it, where they just say it's raining, it's going to be sloppy and messy, but they don't go the extra way and actually break it down from a root pee-wee football standpoint, where it's offensive lineman versus defensive lineman is the big impact. And the defensive position is reactionary. In its inherent nature is I have to react, and with a slick track, it's much harder for them to do that. So they're constantly in no man's land, whereas offense, they know the play. So they have a big advantage in a rain game. And people just don't say that. They like to get caught up in the analytics of the situation instead of just going simple. Which offensive line is better? That is the team that's probably going to win. Which quarterback is better? That's the team that's probably going to win. And I think Kansas City has the advantage over Jacksonville at both parts.
Yeah, I would say Patrick Mahomes a little better than Trevor Lawrence. But, the Chiefs are a bit of a finesse team. Do you think if it's more of a ground and pound, wet kind of game, that maybe that levels the playing field a little bit?
It could. I think that Kansas City has been molded to be meaner. Because of all the bitterness in the AFC, like with the Bengals, their rivalry, all of that, I think has contributed to Kansas City having to get tougher, whereas Jacksonville, there's too much good stuff to do in Florida. It's too nice down there. You can go fishing. You can do whatever you want. It's not like an area where you're committed to being strong in football and really get tough with it. You're running around in the heat. Their conditioning is great, but they're not getting molded by the elements and being forced to adapt into it.
Fair enough. So you're going Kansas City. You just brought them up, so let's talk about them. Detroit headed to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Bengals are big time banged up. I mean, outside of that Jacksonville game, most of these games are going to be played in some very beautiful early October weather. The max ROWI on this game, 1.2, clean and green, beautiful sunshine all day long there in Cincy. Temp's going to be starting off at kickoff at about 85. End of the game, 76. Joe Burrow's out. My boy's got turf toe. I know everybody in Cincinnati hates that. The kid that's in there for him, I forget his name, Jake Browning?
Yeah, correct.
Doing all right, but he's no Joe Burrow.
Right, yeah, and it's tough to try to unbiasedly predict a Cincinnati lean in this because it's just not feasible, whereas Detroit is so strong. Yeah. They lost 2 coordinators and still don't look like they've missed a beat. They have the Dan Campbell heartbeat that somehow you can't get a head coach to be that loud and powerful in the NFL now, but he has it, and he has his 53 playing hard. But Cincinnati, I love the Ohio football fans. They're tough, and they love football, and they'll sit in the cold. They're not going to have to this weekend, but they will sit in it in cold rain, no phones out, just hunkered down watching ball. So I love the Ohio teams. They got a raw deal right now that Burrow's hurt, and they're going to go on a skid unless something really magical happens with Browning.
Yeah, we'll see. The Lions are the real deal. I'm a Ohio guy. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan through and through. The Lions beat up on my Browns last weekend. I mean, they're playing lights out. St. Brown catching every pass. Goff is playing out of his mind. So looks like the Lions will probably take this one.
I think so,
Unless
yeah.
maybe Joe Burrow is magically healed
Right.
tonight and, he gets named as the starter on Sunday. Let's go across the pond. This is an interesting game. I just mentioned the Browns. That's my team. They're taking on the Vikings. This one is going to be in London. Now, the Vikings were already in Europe last weekend. They're in Ireland, right? They played the Steelers. They lost that game. So they're maybe a little bit of a bounce-back game, a rebound game here coming up for them in London. Max Roy 1.5. This is the most London forecast ever. Cloudy, 60. I'm surprised there isn't any rain in this forecast, but it looks like it should stay dry. There might be some rain around England, but not necessarily in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is beautiful. I've been there before. An unbelievable stadium. I know what you're going to say. The Browns are going to lose.
Well, it's really going to be contingent on the new starting quarterback for the Browns, Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
And there's a litmus test. There's a few in the NFL that I work with, whereas if you're a quarterback and you outduel Jared Goff, then you're certifiably a good quarterback in the league. And if you're a quarterback and you get outdueled by Carson Wentz, then you are going to be in a bad spot in the league. You would be qualified underneath Carson Wentz. Bad place to be. Love Carson Wentz, but it's a bad place to be.
Right.
So there's a lot of pressure for the rookie Dylan Gabriel to go out there and not lose to Carson Wentz. Obviously, it's 22 versus 22. It's not them just out there playing against each other, but he has to be able to carry this team over a Vikings team that had a lot of momentum but is deflating quickly. So it could be messy. I don't think we're sending our best game to England.
Definitely not.
They're not getting the cream of the crop in this one.
Yeah.
But it could be some fun ball.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for Cleveland's defense, right? I think if anything is going to keep them in the game, that would be it. I do want to see Justin Jefferson score a touchdown and maybe hit the gritty. He hasn't done that in a while, but I was a big fan of that. Last but not least, I want to talk about this game here. We've got the Texans going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Ravens really limping into this weekend. Meanwhile, the Texans never looked better. I mean, they pitched a shutout on defense, and C.J. Stroud kind of woke back up.
Yeah, they needed to real bad because Houston's had so much turnover and confusing turnover at that, that they needed to find some type of stability, some type of footing. Maybe they got it after a big win last week. I'm being patient with them. I'm optimistic, but I'm not rushing to the gate to say this is a definitive playoff challenger. Whereas Baltimore, 1-3, I still have total confidence in them. They played a ton of playoff teams in the first 5 weeks. They're going to have to play the Rams also after this. But following week 6, they're going to have a stretch of gimmies. They're going against the bottom barrel of the league, and they're going to rattle off 8 out of 10. They could be right back in the mix, and you blink and Baltimore's good again. It's what happened with Lamar in one of his MVP seasons where Baltimore just dominated December, got him the MVP because he started beating the good teams. Only place he got there with it, though, was by getting through all of the basement franchises. And he's good enough to do that. Baltimore is the most exciting regular season team in the NFL, and they're going to do so over the next couple months.
Well, I appreciate it. By the way, the ROWI is incredibly low for this game, too. Beautiful. Sunny skies, temps in the 70s. You can't beat it. Sean, thank you, sir. That was incredible insight. We appreciate it. Bob, we'll get it right back into you. And this is a big guy right here, Bob. You're pretty tall. I think Sean's got you beat by a few inches, my friend.
Height, but I just ate like 4 of those pizzas, so not width at this point. It's starting to expand out a little bit. Yeah, a little stress on my
Bob's eating
coat.
pizza up there, so he said he's got you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous. Bob, you haven't eaten more pizza than I've eaten Italian sub today, I guarantee it. And I got half of it waiting upstairs, so this little break is going to be nice.
Nice, good for you. You got to let it settle, absolutely. Sean, thank you very much. Nick, we'll talk to you again in just a bit. Great report out there.